toleration that he brings to England, because remember, England at the time was in a civil war over religion. So that's going to be learn from Spinoza, bring it to England, and Locke is the one that inspires Jefferson. So you see how that chain works, right? Spinoza's belief in toleration affects Locke, and Locke is one of the three on Jefferson's wall. If you visit, not Monteverdi, Monticello, right? Monticello is like a little hill, right? Monteverdi means a green mountain. So something, Monte, right? And so Monticello, if you visit there, you can see that the paintings that he has on the wall, Jefferson. There's the three paintings he has on his wall in Monticello. Notice that he has John Locke, Francis Bacon, Sir Francis Bacon, and Sir Isaac Newton. Those were his favorites. Thomas Jefferson. So that's pretty cool. Those paintings are still there. I have seen them. I was physically in that building, not just using Google Earth. That was one of the places I got to visit. So that was fun. Even though we had to race through Monticello, we were always in such a hurry. Okay, so let me go to the arguments now, because my quiz question for you is, what do you think of Spinoza's argument that leads him to think that God is everything? Pantheism, right? Which, by the way, is definitely considered heterodox, by everybody except those that believe it. What that means. Right? But let's go to, I don't think do I have it? This didn't work for some reason. Let's just go the easy way here and search Spinoza. Ethics. Part 1. Is this big enough for you to read, or should I make it bigger? So, this method, by the way, that he's following, follows Descartes. I think I mentioned that he is familiar with Descartes, and Galileo, and Hobbes. So he's kind of going to merge the incoming thought that he gathers from all of those, right? And so we have, to begin with, definitions of things. Define your terms. We still argue that. What do you mean by something, right? And then he'll move on to the axioms, which are that's Greek for the things you have to believe, right? And then the propositions. So he defines things as self-caused. We don't have to, just so you see how this works. Something is finite after its kind. It's limited by another thing of the same nature. A body is called finite because we always conceive of another greater body. So also a thought is limited by another thought, but a body is not limited by thought, nor a thought by body. Right? This is very thought-provoking, actually, if you take the time to go through it. By substance, I mean that which is in itself and is conceived through itself. And by the way, his definitions here are coming from the scholastics, like Thomas Aquinas and that whole school, right? So he's right on track, really. This is saying, if this is what you guys are saying, let's follow this through and see what this would lead to. By mode, by attribute. I mean, this is the way we say things today. Things have attributes, but mode, what do we don't use that very often today, but he means the modifications of substance, or that which exists in and is conceived through something other than itself. So basically he's going to say that we as people have an ability to understand two modes of existence: the physical, the body moving stuff, and the mental or the spiritual, right? And just as he did, bodies can be limited by bodies, but thoughts can't be limited by bodies, right? You have to have a thought limit a thought. That's a contradiction. You can't have both of those at once, right? And by God, I mean a being absolutely infinite. So this comes from that than which nothing greater can be thought, and what everyone was basically saying by that, right? And free, eternity, existence itself, and his explanation. So then we go to the axioms. That which cannot be conceived through anything else must be conceived through itself. I always feel like if it's going to be conceived at all, right? So either you're thinking of something, or you can be thinking of yourself, right? God would be conceiving God, for example. But from that which cannot be conceived through anything else must be conceived through itself. From a given definite cause and effect, an effect necessarily follows. And on the other hand, if no definite cause be granted, it is impossible that an effect can follow. So this is kind of that scientific language, right? You can't have a free will, because that would be like this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and a miracle occurred, and you decided to do this, right? No, Freud would never allow for that, right? You've got to have a cause, and a cause, and the effect, right? And so on. That's the way that language works. And by the way, I would say that what he would interpret that is, that's a mode. If you're in that mode, everything is deterministic.
Sorry, sometimes words are fun to just say.
That's true. That's true. I'm addicted. Although, just short story here. While I was at the Defense Language Institute and in the military, and I had a dental checkup, and the doctor at Fort Ord said, you have all your wisdom teeth. We have to remove those. I was like, I'm fine. They don't bother me at all. And they said, no, you've got to have them out. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of a Russian language course. And he said, it'll only take a week, and you'll be fine. Okay. And he's an officer, and I'm junior enlisted, right? So, I can't tell the officer, no, these are my teeth. I'm keeping them the way they are, right? So they took all 4 of them out.
At once?
At once.
No, you're drugged up.
That, and also cotton jaw.
I only had one though, so
God.
it didn't hurt really.
And they got worse because
Just don't have hot stuff right with it. Like your mashed potatoes, do not put hot mashed potatoes in your mouth right away. Like make sure they're kind of cold.
So you've experienced this. Yes.
Yeah.
Is it true that you can't use straws when you get your teeth taken
Yes,
out?
that's my follow-up, because I wanted a chocolate shake, I got it, and I used the straw, and that was bad.
Why?
Also, don't spit. It dries out the fat, and you get dry stomach.
That sounds horrible.
Wait, so you can't drink like with the straw?
And try
I can drink it right now.
Try speaking Russian with your mouth full of cotton. It doesn't work very well. And I remember Господин Lapellis looking at me, "Здравствуйте." I'm like, And as a result of that experience, I dropped from the top class to the second class.
I would have been so mad.
Why didn't you just take the week off?
Actually, I like that.
It's a 52-week course. There's no such thing.
52.
Except for East 52 weeks.
That's a whole year.
Yes.
I miss a week and then be caught up by 51.
That was pretty intense. That had like 4 hours of homework every night. You're immersed all the 8 hours of class all day, 4 hours at night, and then more the next day. In fact, we dialogued all the way in and all the way back home, doing the homework, etc. So that was a pretty intense, but best educational experience I've ever had. Because they made you do it and they scared you to death because they said, here's 100 class, 100 in the class, yay, yeah, we're all here. And they said, 50 of you will pass. And the other 50 we'll do with whatever we like. You thought, oh crap. I signed up for this, but it's dependent on my being able to do the work, right? And, so they're actually going to take 50 people and move them into whatever positions they like rather than, what you had planned on being. That was scary. So, of course, everybody was, well, not everybody. There were some dumb people that just got drunk every chance they got and flunked out, basically.
Do you speak fluent Russian now?
I'm not sure what fluent means.
Like-
Говорю по-русски. Я читаю Гарри Поттер по-русски.
Did you say Harry Potter?
Да. I read Harry Potter
You
In
read
Russian.
it
In Russian?
and Russian, French, and German.
Like all of the books?
All
The whole thing?
Last night I got up to the point where Harry and Dudley were attacked by the Dementors.
I've never read or
First
seen the
chapter?
movies.
Fifth book?
Jesus.
En
Sorry,
français.
that's a
So-
good word to
So
use.
that's pretty cool. Okay, but back to work. So this could be boring. You could also be thinking to yourself, holy Spinoza. Because, that's the level of,
Spinoza, it sounds like the FBI agent on NCIS or one of those shows. Spinoza?
We're talking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Is it on NCIS or?
Have you seen Reno 911 though?
No.
That's so funny.
Sorry, just Spinoza, that's how I'm gonna remember it because he's an agent on FBI, or NCIS.
yeah. Well, Spinoza is one of those you really should remember. I'm hopeful that you'll remember all of these. Remember how my thoughts of how your mind works, right? Yeah, so that when you're at the cocktail party in New York, in Manhattan, and someone says, Spinoza,
Yeah,
know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna- I just-
Holy Spinoza, yeah. That's about all you'll need to know,
Yes.
right? When you're finished college, which things you're going to have to remember afterwards.
There are 3 simple changes I tell all of my arthritis patients to make. Number 1, you have to start drinking more water.
Can I get rid of this?
You wouldn't believe how dehydrated.
Here it is.
I find that education, I think it don't matter where you go to school. Italy, America, Brazil, it's all the same. It's all just memorization. And it don't matter how long you can remember anything, just so you can parrot it back for the tests. And I got this idea for a school I would like to start. Something called the 5-minute university. And the idea is that in 5 minutes, you learn what the average college graduate remembers 5 years after he or she's out of school. With the cost of like $20. That might seem like a lot of money, $20 just for 5 minutes. But that's for like a tuition, cap and gown, the rental, graduation picture, snacks, everything included. Like in college, you have to take foreign language. Well, at the 5-minute university, you can have your choice. Any language you want, you can take it. Say if you want to take Spanish, What I teach you is ¿Cómo está usted? That means, how are you? And the answer is muy bien, means very well. And believe me, if you took 2 years of college Spanish, 5 years after you're out of school, ¿Cómo está usted? Muy bien, about all you're going to remember. So in my school, that's all you learn. You see, you're going to have to waste your time with the conjugations, vocabulary, all that junk. You just forget it anyway, now what's the difference? Economics, supply and